What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. As I was scrolling through Twitter yesterday, I found an article in my feed that apparently showed what gamers would look like in the year 2040. Meet Michael, the future gamer, and it came with this picture. As soon as I saw this, I knew this was something I had to make a video on, so here we are. If you've been watching my content for a while now, you already know that I absolutely hate these kind of articles and that I dedicate a portion to my channel talking about these articles because I know it's most likely not going to be true, but it's also the fact that these researchers could have spent their time and effort researching more important issues instead of trying to trick old people into these lies. So before I actually get into the article, let's take a look at who wrote the article. Apparently, it was published by a Canadian website called Online Casino, which is odd since this is something I would expect to see on something like CNN or Fox News, since those guys love to hate video games. But no, it's a gambling site. Just this alone already tells me that whoever made this article had the intention of keeping people away from video games while luring them into a gambling site like this one. I could be totally wrong on that, but let's jump into the article itself. Everyone meet Michael, a visual representation of the future gamer. We at onlinecasino.ca, which I assume is Canada, conducted a study and predicted how avid gamers could look in the next 20 years if they didn't change their lifestyle habits. From sleep deprivation and dehydration to lack of vitamin D, digital eye strain, and PlayStation thumb? What? These are just some of the physical implications of spending hours online in a gaming chair away from sunlight and physical activity. So how serious is this? We reveal Michael, the future gamer of 2040. First off, who the hell came up with the term PlayStation thumb? That honestly sounds so made up and I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Secondly, how do you know what the average gamer's lifestyle is? How do you know that all gamers do is sit indoors for hours on end without any interaction with the world? So far, I believe that all Online Casino did was take outdated stereotypes, which are also false stereotypes, built their research off of that, and came up with Michael. That's what it sounds like so far, but that's just the beginning of the article. Let's move on to the next part. The reality of the issue. According to Limelight, the average gamer spends 6 hours each week playing online video games, which is an increase of 19.3% in the last year. Gamers in the UK play the most, 7.15 hours per week, with many even becoming addicts and spending up to 18 hours a day online. Okay, I'm no expert in this field, but I do know that the vast majority of gamers don't just go from 6 hours a week to 18 hours a day in a short span. It didn't even say what span. Like, is it 6 to 18 in a day, 6 to 18 in a week, 6 to 18 in a month? Be a little more specific on that. Plus 6 to 7 hours a day really isn't that much. That's like playing a video game for an hour a day. That's nothing. It's also not much when you factor in how much time people would spend on their phone or watch TV per day. Most people would spend around 3 hours and 15 minutes a day on their phones and 5 hours and 4 minutes a day watching TV. Combined, that's 8 hours and 19 minutes of screen time that's not video games per day. That trumps the average gaming time, so you better think twice before you worry about others for spending an hour or two a day playing video games. Video game addiction is now recognized as an official psychological disorder by WHO, which is known as the World Health Organization, and referred to as gaming disorder despite opposition from the industry and academics. Honestly, I don't think the idea of gaming disorder is a bad thing, but I do believe that making it an official disorder was very premature and was made out of desperation to keep kids away from playing Fortnite. Now that Fortnite is no longer the #1 game in the world, all it's really doing is making gamers look bad. If you don't know what gaming disorder is, they tell you in the article, but it's basically gaming to the point where you would sacrifice all of your responsibilities in life, such as, ditching your job or school or whatever, just to play more video games. While the definition is true, only a very, very small percentage of gamers will actually have this problem. I'm talking less than 0.1% of the gaming population. And there have been cases where this has happened. In 2010, a couple in Korea left their child for dead in her own crib because they wanted to raise their virtual child in a video game. And people have died from blood clots from not getting up from their seats for days. But just because that one guy or one couple exists doesn't mean everyone is like this. There are at least 2 billion gamers in the world. The number is probably skyrocketing as we speak. If most gamers really do become what would be considered an addict, I'd imagine seeing a lot more than a few extremely rare cases. What I find hilarious is that the WHO was also the one that said staying at home and playing video games was one of the best ways to counter the spread of the new virus. I can't say it because YouTube takes down videos that say it. Anyway, I don't know if using WHO's information is a good idea right now, considering that they just went back on their word. We conducted in-depth research into every physical impact on the body and health of a human being from spending too much time indoors and online. And here is what we found out, more specifically what they made up. Dude, I'm not even kidding, I'm having a hard time looking at this chart. Most of this stuff you already know. The dark circles from sleep deprivation, hunchback from poor posture, swollen ankles from lack of movement. Most of this can really happen to a person due to lack of activity. But what I find absolutely ridiculous is that online casino is blaming all of this on video games. What most people seem to forget is that you can get all of these symptoms from anything that involves sitting down and being on a computer for multiple hours a day, such as working at an office, working at the library, or going to school. Some of these don't even make sense. First-person shooter, excessive use of mouse and keyboard causing numbness. Whoever wrote this is probably referring to carpal tunnel syndrome, which means that you do get numb when you type with your fingers, but still there's a name for that and it's not called first-person shooter. PlayStation thumb, Nintendo arthritis, what is this? Hairy ears, lack of air circulation. I highly doubt this is even a thing. If it was, so many people would have this issue already since everyone listens to their music through headphones. Indent in skull from pressure and overuse of headphones. Again, I find this hard to believe since headphones have been around since the 80s, and I have never met anyone with this issue. Despite the ridiculous names, a lot of this can really happen to a person from lack of activity, but again, it's just from lack of activity and not from playing video games specifically. If you play VR games, you are pretty much safe from most of this. All you really have to worry about is eye strain. And since this is supposed to be the future gamer of 2040, by the time 2040 hits, VR is going to be a normal thing. So this whole person is probably not even going to exist in 2040. Spielberg directed a movie called Ready Player One, which basically shows off what gaming would look like in the year 2045. And so far, we're not that far off from them. So if you haven't watched that movie, I would recommend to do so, since that's probably what the future is going to be like. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. I will give them credit for giving legitimate advice on what to do to maintain a healthy lifestyle, but this is just common sense. We already knew this. This is honestly just a scam to trick older generations to think that video games are bad while luring them into their gambling sites. Instead of paying $60 on that new video game, you could blow it on our online casinos that are rigged to make you lose your money anyways. But I honestly can't blame them for doing this. This is a perfect time for any kind of business that's dedicated to online stuff to thrive because everyone is at home due to the virus. So I have a good feeling that we're going to be seeing a lot more of these stupid articles just because video games are thriving and every kind of business is trying to keep people away from that. So don't be surprised if you end up seeing more stupid article videos on my channel since they're going to be popping up left and right now. Other than that, I hope you did enjoy the video, subscribe for more content, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.